Has MCU engaged in a secret war against Black society? Is this the reality or a far reach conspiracy theory where I'm putting on the tinfoil kufi? We're going to find out this today on this live stream of the movie Insurrectionist. Welcome to the Movie Insurrectionist. This is your host, Rashad, and welcome to this live stream. Today we are discussing the MCU and a problem that I've noticed for some time, but I've never addressed it until now. The MCU has a habit of race-swapping white villains with Black actors, usually Black men, and they have a history of disrespecting Black society within plain sight. Of course, most people are distracted by the superhero genre, which has become a category within cinema itself. Like Steven Spielberg said, superhero movies are what Western films were to Hollywood during the golden era of the 50s and 1960s. Audiences love the fights, the action, and the visual effects. And in today's world, creating a movie with such a complicated presence is completely possible with modern CGI, which makes the creation of these worlds limitless. And of course, with the success of Spider-Man, Brand New Day, Emmy Award-winning actor Tremel Tillman plays William Bill Metzger, who is the antagonist of this film. And of course, if any of you guys haven't watched this movie, I will be delivering some spoiler alerts, so be aware of that. But for those of you who haven't, those of you who have, then you'll be familiar with what I'm talking about. However, what I discovered with this character, just like Kang the Conqueror portrayed by Jonathan Majors, Bill Metzger was originally white, not Black in the source material. I know that Hollywood has been pushing the so-called agenda of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but what does this mean when it comes to Black people? Because you see, Hollywood and specifically Marvel has a long and well-documented history of insulting Black people within plain sight. They seem to play in our faces with imagery that seem politically correct, inclusive, and dignifying. But if you scrutinize the imagery on screen or the history of these characters, there's always something funny style about our presence within the MCU. And if you think about me being hyperbolic in terms of what I'm saying, take a look at your screen. This is the imagery of M'Baku, portrayed by Winston Duke in Black Panther. In the comic book, his name is Man-Ape. He's a recurring villain of T'Challa and is a part of the white gorilla cult in the Jabari tribe of Wakanda. You guys heard it right. He's a part of the white gorilla cult of the Jabari tribe or village in Wakanda. I went to fandom.com to research his background, and this is what I found. And I show a picture here. You see on the left, that is the MCU version of Man-Ape. And to the right, that is the original version that you see in the comic book that was supplied in Marvel years ago. He's wearing the skin, the fur of an ape. And I'm going to discuss what his powers were right now. Courtesy of fandom.com, I was able to look at a summary of Man-Ape in terms of what he looks like, or what he was like in the comic book versus what the MCU actually did. And this is the source material of Man-Ape. Here's a summary, and it reads, M'Baku was born and raised in the Jabari village within the nation of Wakanda, Africa. Wakanda's not a real place in Africa, just like Zamunda is not a real place, but you guys get the idea. He was one of the greatest warriors of the African nation Wakanda, second only to T'Challa, the Black Panther himself. While the Panther King of Wakanda was on leave from his royal duties to serve the Avengers in America, the ambitious M'Baku plotted to usurp the throne. The Wakanda culture evolved from a hunter-warrior society and was traditionally ran by its greatest warrior. The Black Panther outlawed the rival white guerrilla cult, like I mentioned before. I'll say it again, white guerrilla cult. This is what was actually written in the 1960s version of this comic book. From Wakanda, while the Panther cult was dominant, M'Baku flouted T'Challa's edicts and revived the white guerrilla cult, personally stalking and killing one of the rare white gorillas living in the jungles near Wakanda, bathing in the gorilla's blood and eating the gorilla's flesh, mystically conferred his great strength upon M'Baku, and he became Man-Ape, leader of the Jabari and frequent foe to the Wakandan peace. This is how M'Baku was presented to us in the comic book. And his name in the comic book was Man-Ape because he ate the heart of an ape and he wore his skin and he gathered his strength and he behaved like an ape. This is how Marvel presented this character to us. They actually put this in a comic book in the 1960s, not the 1920s, not the 1950s, or 1940s, but the 1950s, post-segregation. This is what they wrote. When black people, and it was known even back then that referring to a black person with the character with pronatheanism. For those of you who don't know what that word means, look it up. Those of us who have pronatheanism, it's offensive to refer to black people with those type of ape-like characteristics. But they still put this character in the original comic of Black Panther way back in the day. They actually did this. There's an actual great breakdown of this character on Blurred Without Fear. Shout out to that brother. And I encourage you to check out his channel. Because after knowing this about M'Baku, aka Ape Man, this scene here makes a lot more sense. Fair use.
You cannot talk.
I'll play it again one more time.
You cannot talk.
I will not have it. Sorry about that. I couldn't resist. But in context of what I'm talking about, now you understand where that scene was done and what that scene is in reference to. Many of you are wondering, why was he barking and behaving like an ape? Well, the reason why is because it's an Easter egg to the comic book. That's the reason why. Because many of you took your children to see this and you didn't have any reference that this scene was an Easter egg to a black man developing the characteristics of an ape. That's the basis of M'Baku's character. And if you're wondering why it's important to monitor what your children are watching and be skeptical of any media brought to us by the dominant society, this is precisely why. Because these two liberal white men brought us a comic book where black people were being compared to apes and behaving like them. And the existence of the movie Black Panther is supposed to be a flex for black society, right? And many of you were so happy for this acknowledgement of your existence that you decided to dress up and do this and wear this. Look at that. She's got a jacket that says Wakanda on the back of it. And do this. Never saw so much unity with black folks in my life. See this. All these cats wearing Africa dashikis. Oh, I'm not sure if these individuals are FBA, but they went all out. And this. I wonder when the last time she's been to the movies, but she came out for Black Panther. And this. And this right here. Brother's wearing his dashiki and wearing his sandals. And this right here. And this right here. Sister on the right is very beautiful. But you guys get the point. And right here. Oh. She actually has markings on her head. She went all out. And this here. They even brought the kids. They brought the children and got them all dressed up to come and see this fictitious land of Wakanda. For many of you, you actually needed Marvel Studios and even worse, Disney, to tell you that it was okay to be black. A lot of these same people who dressed up in dashikis to see Black Panther wouldn't spend $1 to support Birth of a Nation, a film about a real life superhero, Nat Turner. Shout out to Nate Parker. And in fact, some of these people, especially the women, protested its release. So you will spend and provide your social and monetary capital to enrich a studio and individuals that created a movie based on a series where black men are behaving like apes instead of supporting a story of one of our most esteemed FBA freedom fighters. And this is what Bobby Wright referred to as menticide. But what isn't menticide is sharing this broadcast. If you like what you're hearing, please press that subscribe button, like the video, and press the notification bell for future content. This is a Movie Insurrectionist. My name is Rashad, and we are talking about Marvel's secret war on black people. Now let's go ahead and get back to it. Now, I want to get back to the main discussion of this broadcast, which deals with race swapping white villains with black actors. The only reason why I investigated this was because of Spider-Man Brand New Day. I discussed some of the social and political problems with Zendaya as Mary Jane and this character that our brother Tremel Tillman portrayed in this installment of the Spider-Man franchise in my last review. And if you haven't seen my last review, what in the hell is wrong with you? So I did a little research on this character, and I noticed that in the comic book, Bill Metzger is white and not black. In the movie, Tremel Tillman plays his character as a professional, intelligent, and competent executive, but ultimately, Spider-Man releases his thoughts and he realizes that he is a liar, war profiteer, and the actual villain of this story. After all, Bill Mesker's organization is called Damage Control. But what's interesting to me is that there's no prominent characters portrayed by a black man except him. He wasn't presented like Robbie Robertson, played by the late Bill Nunn, as an ally to Spider-Man. This black male character has power, so he's an enemy to Spider-Man. As knowledgeable, rich, and powerful as Bill Mesker is in this portrayal, he uses his institution, Damage Control, to exploit and oppress non-black people the same way the dominant society has used their power, wealth, and influence to oppress us. While half-black Zendaya, who plays Mary Jane, is seen as a non-threatening part of the dominant society, Bill Mesker is seen as a threat to marginalized people in the world. This is what happens in this film. If you don't believe me, check it out yourself. But you know, most people will say, Rashad, you're over exaggerating. What you're saying isn't true. Kevin Feige, Stan Lee, Amy Pascal, and everyone else involved in the history of the MCU are liberals. They can't be racist. Or can they? One of the things that we do here at the Movie Insurrectionist is we like to keep receipts. Because I remember a huge scandal that Amy Pascal, the producer of the Spider-Man movies over at Sony Pictures, found herself involved in a few years back when she put out a very controversial movie depicting the assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And that movie, of course, was The Interview with Seth Rogen and James Franco, or James Flacco, as Barack Obama would say. But what a lot of you guys have probably forgotten is what were the context of those hacked emails that was leaked out to the public. What exactly did she say? And what specifically did she say when it pertained to us? Well, some of you may have forgotten about this, but fortunate enough for you, I haven't. And I'm going to show you exactly what Amy Pascal had to say about Black society. There were several articles that were put out. And this, of course, is an article from The Guardian. And it reads, Sony email hack. What we've learned about greed, racism, and sexism. It's put out during the time of the scandal. If you go down, you read below. I'm not going to read the entire article, but it was one paragraph specifically that talks about the topic of this broadcast. Pascal, while discussing a breakfast at which she would be meeting President Barack Obama as Reuben, she'll ask him if he likes Django, a reference to the Quentin Tarantino film Django Unchained, which is about a freed slave. She continued with the line, asking if she should see if he liked Lee Daniels, the butler, about a black man who served 8 U.S. presidents, and Think Like a Man, an ensemble romantic comedy featuring many prominent black actors. Think Like a Man actor Kevin Hart spoke out against the comments, as did TV megastar Shonda Rhimes, who called the exchange racist. And that was one of many things that she actually said. That was just one of the things that was covered. But this is what Amy Pascal, this is what she had to do damage control, no pun intended, to save her career from going under. And of course, she got ambulance chaser Al Sharpton to come out. Al had to come out and speak on her behalf, and they wheeled her out, which is what bigots typically do whenever they get caught being bigots, they have to go on an apology tour to confess their sins and why they said what they said and they didn't really mean it. That's what she said, and she gave her apologies. But I'm looking at the content that she puts out. I'm looking at the content that she produces. And this is the content she puts out. These are the kind of images of black men that she actually has. So my question is, if Amy Pascal is this comfortable with talking this way about us at her job, imagine what she'll say about us in private. Boy, I would love to be a fly on the wall to hear just that in a tape recorder. Because at this point, this is the point that I'm making about the people that are running Hollywood. Because you see, they have no problem presenting Pan-Africanist revolutionary characters like Eric Killmonger as irredeemable villains, or a black William Metzger as a reminder to our girls that you are safe with the dominant society because black men can't be trusted. They have no problem presenting us as that. They have no problem with that. Or presenting to our boys that you shouldn't chase power, but be the sidekick to Iron Man or Captain America because Sam Wilson doesn't hesitate to kiss Steve Rogers' ass every chance he gets. No disrespect to you, brother Anthony Mackie, if you hear this. I know you're playing a role, but I got to tell the truth about your character. This is how they present us in these movies. So if you're a powerful, incompetent black man, you got to be a villain. If you're someone who has omnipotent powers, you got to be evil. If you're someone who's control of institutions that have been bestowed by you, you're going to use it against other marginalized people. This is how they present us. Because you have individuals like Amy Pascal, who has a history of saying questionable things about black people, and individuals like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who have a history of presenting characters that poorly represent black people in charge of this multi-billion-dollar industry. So we get characters like, we get these race swaps where we have characters like this, and like this, and like this, and like that. This is what we do. Or they do, rather, because we don't do it, they do it. So in the end, they see us as the bad guys, and this is Marvel's secret war on black people. I actually have a couple of viewers that are here today. Please give me the fire emoji if you like this broadcast. Give me the microphone emoji if you want me to extend this broadcast to actually bring some people on. We can have a discussion and talk about this a little bit because I think this is a very interesting topic. And it's something I noticed by watching some of these Marvel movies. So those of you who are watching, please go ahead and give me the microphone emoji and the fire emoji you like this broadcast. If not, then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And I'll rev up for the next one, where I'm doing a very special broadcast, where I'm doing a full-scale review of Boys in the Hood. It is the 35th anniversary of Boys in the Hood, so I'm going to talk about Boys in the Hood tomorrow. And within Boys in the Hood, we'll discuss some of its themes, as well as its impact on cinema, and how this film relates to modern day society. So I think I'm going to wrap up this broadcast because you guys seem to be pretty quiet over in the chat box. So I want to thank everyone that listened to this broadcast. I want to wrap this up. If you enjoyed our insight on the movie Insurrectionist, our insight on the movie industry, and find this channel entertaining and informative, please press that subscribe button. Like the video, share it, and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. And this concludes this edition of the movie Insurrectionist. I am your host, Rashad. And remember, the theatrical release will never be televised. I'll see you all soon. Take it easy.